If you're a cyclist, you get it. Data is everything. We're all obsessed with tracking our speed, our distance, our heart rate, anything to help us ride faster and smarter. But what if the most important data, the stuff that really makes a difference, is the stuff we can't even easily measure? Well, today we're going to dive into a research paper that introduces a real breakthrough. It's called SmarCyPad, and it's a smart bike seat that might just completely change how we think about performance on the bike.
So think about your own setup for a second. You've probably got a bike computer, right? It tells you how fast you're going, maybe how far you've gone. But is that really enough? I mean, let's be real. Is it actually telling you how you're riding?
Yeah. See, on the one hand, you've got the basics, like speed and distance. But just look at what's possible. We're talking about knowing your pedaling cadence, the power balance between your legs, your stability on the saddle, even your exact riding position and knee angle, and all of it tracked in real time. That's the difference right there. It's the difference between knowing you went fast and knowing why you went fast.
Okay, so let's get into it. To really understand why a smart seat like this is such a huge deal, we first got to look at what's missing from the tech we're all using right now. So if you want that deeper data today, what are your options? Well, honestly, they're not great. Option 1, you can strap a bunch of sensors all over your body, which is just a hassle. Option 2, you can install crank sensors, but they're usually limited to just cadence and power. Or Option 3, you could use cameras to analyze your posture, but that can feel kind of invasive and definitely raises some privacy questions. The dream, right? The ideal setup would be the total opposite of all that, something you don't even notice is there, that captures everything and keeps all your data totally private.
And that right there brings us to the hero of our story. Researchers at the University of Tennessee had this brilliant idea. They decided to shift the whole way we think about sensing and move it to the one place a cyclist is always in contact with, the bike saddle.
So say hello to SmarCyPad. It's basically a smart seat cover that uses these special fabric sensors to track 5 absolutely crucial cycling metrics. And the best part? You don't have to wear or attach a single extra thing. It's designed to be completely invisible while you ride.
And the concept behind it is just so elegantly simple. I mean, it just looks like a regular seat cover, but hidden inside is all this tech that captures the tiny changes in pressure from your muscles as you pedal, basically turning your saddle into this incredibly powerful data gathering tool.
So how on earth do you make a piece of fabric smart enough to do all of that? Well, the process is pretty fascinating. It's like this whole new blend of textiles and electronics.
What's so cool about this is how simple the core components are. It really just starts with 2 special materials. On the left, you've got something called Velostat. It's a fabric that's sensitive to pressure. Think of it like a dimmer switch. The harder you press, the more electricity can flow through it. And on the right, you have Faraday fabric, which is super conductive. So you just sandwich that Velostat between 2 layers of the Faraday fabric, and boom, you've created a simple but really effective pressure sensor. And this is where the magic really happens. The researchers didn't use some rigid plastic circuit board. No way. Instead, they literally sewed the entire circuit onto a piece of suede with conductive thread. This creates this flexible, durable e-textile that can mold perfectly to the shape of pretty much any bike saddle out there. Okay, so we've got this incredible piece of tech. What exactly is it measuring? Let's break down the 5 key things it tracks and, more importantly, why they actually matter for your ride. All right, so SmarCyPad is designed to track 5 very specific things: your cadence, the balance of strength between your legs, your stability per leg, your riding position, and even the angle of your knee joint. So let's get into what each of those actually means for your performance.
First up, we've got cadence. It's pretty simple. It's just how fast you're pedaling. We measure it in revolutions per minute, or RPM.
So why does that matter? Well, the key is to keep a nice, steady cadence, usually somewhere between 80 and 90 RPM for most folks. Doing that lets you use your energy way more efficiently. It really helps you avoid burning out your muscles too fast, which, as you know, is absolutely crucial on those long rides.
Next up is leg strength balance. You know how most of us have a dominant leg? Well, that imbalance definitely shows up in our pedal stroke. SmarCyPad is smart enough to detect if one of your legs is doing way more work than the other.
And this is so critical, really for 2 big reasons. First, a major imbalance can lead to some nasty overuse injuries, especially in your stronger leg or your knee. And second, it just means one leg is getting exhausted long before the other one, and that totally tanks your overall endurance.
Okay, now this one is really cool. Because the pad has all these different sensors spread out across the saddle, it can actually tell how you're sitting. It can tell the difference between 5 distinct upper body positions, everything from sitting completely upright to being hunched over in a super aggressive aerodynamic tuck.
So why is that a big deal? Well, it comes down to one word: aerodynamics. According to the research paper, just by changing your position from sitting up to being down low, you can become over 7% faster for the exact same effort. That is a massive gain. And on top of those, the pad also tracks your stability, spotting any wobbles that waste energy, and even your knee angle, which is super important for a good bike fit and preventing injuries down the road.
Okay, a smart, sewable seat cover that tracks all this stuff sounds incredible, right? It sounds great in theory, but the real question, the one that matters, is does it actually work? Well, the researchers put it to the test.
And let me tell you, the results are seriously impressive. When it came to figuring out which of those 5 positions a cyclist was in, the system was 96.6% accurate. That is just incredibly reliable.
And what about cadence? The average error was just 1.13 RPM. I mean, think about that. For a sensor that isn't even attached to your pedals or the crank, that level of precision is just fantastic. It totally proves the concept works.
And here is the real kicker. The total cost to build this entire prototype using nothing but off-the-shelf materials was less than $50. 50! This isn't some crazy expensive piece of lab equipment. It's something that could absolutely become a real product for all of us. So yeah, this technology is obviously a potential game changer for cyclists. But the idea behind SmarCyPad, it really points to a much, much bigger trend.
What this is really all about is a future where we don't have to strap a dozen different gadgets to our bodies anymore. The future of health tracking is about building intelligence into the world around us, into our chairs, our beds, our clothes, and yep, even our bike seats. Look, SmarCyPad proves that powerful, totally unobtrusive sensing is possible with simple, low-cost stuff. And it really leaves you with a pretty exciting question. If we can make a bike seat this smart, what are we going to make smart next?